My name is Christian,
My name is Elijah.
and this is How to Human Being, our podcast.
Welcome to the pod, Christian.
Welcome to the pod, Elijah. Very strong.
You had the desire to start the podcast. How did that look like from the start?
Let's see. Really, I like to talk.
Yeah.
No, that's not a great way to begin. No, I felt like the Lord was like, I felt as though the Lord was saying, you should start a podcast. He had dropped little hints here and there. Just in talking to people, whether they'd be like, hey, you've got a voice for this, because I do, and other things like that. And so there was the idea of, hey, I could do podcasting. This could be really fun.
Yeah.
You know, I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy talking about things. But the question would be like, what is this podcast even going to be about? Like,
Yeah.
you know, there's a jillion guys starting podcasts out there in the world.
Anyone with a mic?
Anybody with a mic. It's really easy nowadays. I mean, look, I got a couple of mics.
Ease of
We're
access.
here.
Yes.
But
cost of entry.
I really didn't want to just go out and say something without having something to say, or without having a direction. So it just kind of was something in the background that I mulled over, but it wasn't really something that I had put into effect yet. And then there was a season just that a short time ago where it really felt like the Lord was pressing, and He was saying, "No, you got to get on this and get it done." You know, I gave you that word about starting this a while back, but you haven't taken it seriously. So you need to start taking it seriously. And I was like, but Lord, what am I even going to, why would I be making a podcast, and what would it even be about?
Yeah.
And He said, start learning and I'll let you know.
Yes.
So here we are. Started learning. And I think that brings us into where we're at right now of saying, like, we're beginning this fresh. We're beginning this now. And, I mean, like we were talking about, well, in the planning process of this podcast, of saying, you know what? If it's faithful garbage, it's what we're going to do.
Faithful garbage.
So, I mean, that is the name of the show.
That's the name of the show now.
Title drop. Well, not the name of the show.
The name of this episode.
Name of the episode.
Faithful
episode
garbage.
Name found. So, I felt like, as we had talked, faithful garbage, just get out there and do it, which is the hard part for me, just getting something started.
Yeah.
So, just walking in even to a podcast and being like, God told me to do this thing.
Yeah.
Just feels weird off the bat.
Right.
It's akin to people using the Lord using the Lord to claim that we're supposed to do this, that, or the other thing. You know, like, we're supposed to be together.
Yeah.
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 The good
Classic.
old, as you said.
As I said, the youth group classic at a camp. At the altar, I heard from the Lord. He told me we're getting married.
We're gonna have such beautiful children.
Yeah, when you're 14 years old.
It's like, calm down.
Please relax.
So, going into that realistically, and being like, all right, Lord told me to do this. Obviously, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna work it out. It'll be what it is. And I'm a perfectionist at heart when it comes to trying to make something just right and beautiful the first time and not actually getting anything worthwhile done. And so the conversation that we had about beginning the podcast and about it just being like, let's make faithful garbage and eventually we'll be good at this.
Eventually. Small steps.
Yeah. that really personally stood out for me. And I'm like, all right, we're going to do it. We're going to sit in front of a camera. We're going to make a podcast. And it's going to be about stuff.
It's going to be about so many things, hopefully.
But, I mean, we technically have a very wide breadth of options to work with in the context of how to human being. And that's not to say that, like, this is a podcast without direction. We are wanting to, in the context of how to human being, get into living life as a person. With us coming from a faith background, it of course will be about how our faith and living life for the Lord works out in all these different areas. Because for me, in the context in which I grew up, for me, in the context that I grew up in, and I don't know how many other people grew up in that same context, where it's like, I really wasn't taught how to do life. It was just expected that as I go out there, I'd know how to handle credit cards, I'd know how to handle a mortgage, I'd know how to raise kids, I'd know how to do all of these basic things that one ought to be able to do well. And so that pushed me into a personal journey of saying, I have to figure out how I'm supposed to live life. But then also, how do I do this within a faith context of doing this with the Lord? And then what do I do with all of this stuff in life? Whether it's things from the angelic and stuff that in the supernatural, things within politics and the larger scale world around us, things within community and what responsibilities there are there. Like, what am I supposed to do with all of that? And how am I supposed to live life?
And you came from a point where it was all self-taught, where other people had guidance and you didn't get the chance to be taught and have those mentors who bring you along. You had to brute force your way into things that we learn so easily, like it's osmosis. For a lot of us, myself, we learned so many things because our parents exemplify it, and then you had the awesome opportunity now to go. I was able to learn, and now I have the chance to open the door to have for other people, so they can take those first steps into learning how to human being, learning how to operate in a community, in a faith space, learning how to really dive into, like you said, finances or having a family, because for a lot of people, it's exemplified poorly, really well, or not at all. And depending on your state of mind and how you frame things, it could be any one of those, even if you grew up with a loving family or not at all.
And that's that kind of goes into, and I will get into this throughout the podcast, but there are specific books, there are specific influences, and I know we're both going to end up talking about that, the things that influenced where we've gotten in life and where we're going. And how we've managed to grow into the positions that we're at. And so for me, like, the context that built this out, or the resource, I should say, that built this out and helped me the most was some specific books that have been a blessing to me, and I don't think get enough airtime, so I'll definitely always talk about those. But, like, within the idea of growing up and, you know, as a man, becoming a man of God, becoming somebody out there in the world that is steady, that is complete, that is well developed and ready to handle the world. Like, there's Fathered by God by John Eldredge. That was a very pivotal book. And one of the things that came out of that was a quote that sticks with me, which is, there is a tragedy to a self-made man.
That's good.
Where it's like, this is what we find in the world, and we praise it a lot in our culture, where it's like, that guy's a self-made man, or he figured that all out himself, you know? But it's like, there's a lot more guys watching YouTube videos on how to do something instead of being able to go to a father figure. And so we have an abundance of men trying to make themselves apart from community and apart from mentors and father figures that actually pour into them. And I would say that, like, that concept was sat in very much a book targeted towards men, but I would say both men and women find themselves in this place where it's
Right.
like culturally we're in a position where being taught not just by parents but by older mentor figures that would be in your life is just not something that is natural.
Yeah.
And I mean, even more so than just kids or young people needing that, but also seeing yourself as getting to a position of being that person, having a confidence, right?
Right, right.
I mean, like millennials and people within our age range, there was the whole adulting idea, like
Wonderful.
adulting is hard, all of that
Yes.
fun stuff.
So great.
But realistically looking at that, it's a lot of people being like, where are the adults?
Yeah.
It's like, this
Right.
is not, and when do I become one?
It felt like a space where we were growing up very quickly in some areas, but lacking so much in others because of a number of reasons. But it felt, for at least me, we wanted to be told how to do these things that we weren't being taught in school, or just because our parents talked about them doesn't mean we really grabbed onto it.
Yeah.
And we really held on to. So when you get into these places of adulting, it's like I just want to fall back onto the strength of my childhood or my teen years, because I was very confident in what I knew and I was very confident in what I was doing, instead of falling into the insecurity of what we've learned and hadn't put into practice.
Yeah.
So that just bred an entire group of people who were like, man, I don't want to do this thing that is scary, that has made me insecure. I want to fall back on these cringy adulting things that do not hold any value, and they make for incredibly good TikToks that I'm going to watch and laugh at. But we can't behave like that, especially when you're trying to grow a community and be not a self-made man, but a man who has learned from others, or women, or whoever. You're a kid, you're a teenager, that's learned from people that are older than you, that took you alongside and put you under their wings. Like, I want to pour into you because that's life-giving for both parties. And then you take that and you hold on to that memory of, wow, this person decided that I was worthwhile on this thing that for me was very scary, but for them they had expertise and they thought I was worth their time.
Yeah. And so as we continue with the podcast, like, it's really going to be a lot of working out and putting into practice that, coming into being somebody that says, no, actually, I am somebody that knows what I'm doing.
Sure.
And I'm willing to put the confidence and say, all right, I'm the adult in this room, in this space. I'm the leader in this room or this space. I am somebody that's willing to put my neck out there.
Yeah, I'm willing to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, just faithful garbage.
Faithful garbage until it becomes better.
Yes. And I also think one of the wonderful things that came out of that process and that season was saying, all right, didn't have those mentor figures.
Right.
And I'm not going to get to have those mentor figures. Like, there was a grieving process of looking around at the people that were older than me in many of the spaces that I grew up in, and being like, none of these people have it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to find somebody in a timely manner, and I can't wait on somebody who's going to come along and be that ideal, right? And so it's like, I had an option at that point.
Yeah.
Am I going to sit back and twiddle my thumbs until somebody gets there to rescue me out of the lifestyle that I have, where I don't know what I'm doing and I'm unconfident in myself? Or am I going to say, I don't have somebody to look up to, but nobody after me is going to have that problem. I'll
Right.
become
that's good.
that person,
Yeah.
if that's what it takes. Because it's like, that's to affect change in a way where you want to see it. Sometimes it's choosing to become that leader or become that individual that you would like to see out there in the world, where you see that lacking. And you have to just take the personal responsibility to say, I don't see that. And it's not a pride thing where I'm like, oh, I am this great, wonderful thing. It's saying, this is necessary. This is needed. We need people who are leaders of life, not just in a particular area of business, but conducting life and doing it well. How to be a person in a way that's blessed all the way through.
So you did it, and then now we're learning.
Yeah.
We're learning. And while we're very similar in some ways, there's two differently lived lives that were on a similar... If you read it, the Cliff Notes, you would say, okay, this is pretty close. But if you got to the details, there's obviously so much about us that is different in many ways. It's like both have big families.
Yep.
I grew up, and I'm very close with my family, and we're all serving the Lord, and there's a closeness and a togetherness that we have without much tension. And then sometimes you have tension. Not that, I mean, my family has tension. My family has tension, but when you were a child, it was much more tension, probably than I went through. You were homeschooled for your whole time. I was homeschooled for some of the time. So we have these points where we're lined up, but the outcome of those above us, so our parents and those mentors to be, who should be, didn't follow through exactly the way that we want or hope for them to.
Yeah, because it's similar, like John Eldridge in that book, Fathered by God, talks about how there's very few initiated men, like initiated into adulthood.
Yeah.
Where you've been like guided through the stages of growth and personal development, and there's been somebody there to say, you are now moving from child into young adult, from young adult into manhood, right? And there's somebody to initiate us into that new season so that we can expect that out of ourselves even. But with that, he also mentions where there's a lot of wonderful parents out there.
Yes.
Who are doing the best they can, but they are uninitiated themselves. And so they have more possible pieces of the puzzle than others do, but there's still a lot of big gaps. And so the effort that's here is to start filling in those gaps. And to start putting together a better, more complete picture that I think we're all striving for when it comes to becoming parents, becoming adults, becoming people that are stable and are pillars for those around us, that are able to initiate people into new seasons of life faithfully and truly. And even though, like, you know, our parents are the product of their parents and their own upbringing, and they either did the best with that or they didn't quite do the best with that. But it's taking that and saying, all right, this is as far as they were able to carry that baton. Now I'm going to intentionally carry that baton further. Instead of passively, like they might have been in this situation to do, of carrying that baton forward.
You had mentioned previous that you enjoyed the thought process of faithful garbage and then your struggle with bringing that along. So what is faithful garbage to you when it comes to the podcast?
Yeah. So when I'm thinking faithful garbage, it's unafraid of beginnings. You see that a lot when people are talking about starting something for the first time, where it's like, just go and do it. Like, it's going to be bad, but it's going to be all right. Like, you're going to learn. And as I took that in and processed that, because it's like, it's more than just, like, in our context, this is starting a podcast. But in life's context, it's doing literally anything. Whether it's trying a new skill, doing something for the first time to any degree, there's going to be a level of messing up. But it's being able to push past that, right? And we've determined, regardless of how this is, Faithful garbage. We're going to put something out there, even if
Right.
it's trash, because if this is what we're going to do, and it's something we've decided to do,
Yeah.
we're going to do it,
We're gonna
and
do
we're
it.
going to
Yeah.
learn some lessons. Yeehaw! This is going to be great. But, and it's, difficult. I mean, like, just coming into this afternoon of us deciding, all right, we're going to sit down, we're going to film some stuff, we're going to figure out what we're going to do as far as our flow, all of those things that we're doing to begin this.
Yeah.
And just being very transparent and being very base level in that for this initial podcast is partly to help paint that idea of faithful garbage.
Yeah.
So it's like anybody listening to this right now and or watching, like they're going to see where we began.
Yeah. Your living room.
Heaven help us. Someday, Lord willing, it's going to be a cool looking studio, well crafted, all those fun and amazing things that we strive for. But we're not there yet, and we won't get there till we get there.
Right. And the garbage part of it is probably defined by a lot of people by the chastisement you get when you begin and you're bad, which is unfortunate because the best part of being good at something is seeing the success that you have in that compared to when I first started. So we're starting right now, and it's going to look different than it does 5, 10, 15 episodes from now, maybe 100 episodes, right? So the way that we're just putting it out there, we want to be faithful with the word the Lord has spoken to you. And then you said, Elijah, I want you to join me in this. And I was like, I love to talk, so I'll do that. But we don't want to just do it and forget about what happened in those moments in between leading up to it, because it's been a long time coming to get here. We want to, the word says, don't despise the day of small beginnings. And I love that because everything has to start somewhere. In the faithful garbage is the time in between the greatness and the success of what the Lord has called you to and where you are now.
And that is a good concept to work out. And it's also one that we, like, the purpose behind the podcast is to get into how to human being, right? Get into how to live our lives and just do the stuff that we need to do.
Yeah.
And so with that, in the context of faithful garbage, it's saying you should go and do the thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
Go start that thing. Like, let heaven help us, this example be an example of somebody just getting it done and jumping into it. And it's like, and removing the barrier to entry.
Yes.
That's something I'm really passionate about. Finances are immediately direct, clear example of that in my life, where there was a big barrier to entry for me, and it was a very difficult process to get into a space of like understanding how to do personal finance, right? And it might seem strange to some people, being like, dude, it's just numbers, get over it. But there was a lot of personal and internal stress over this idea of managing a budget, of planning things out into the future, and being responsible in this area.
Yeah.
And the main issue was the people around me weren't going to be able to help me.
Yeah.
I didn't know or have the confidence to ask anyone for help. And the people that I could have asked for help were the ones that I've not learned finances from, because they didn't know how to do it themselves.
Right.
Like everybody in my sphere, paycheck to paycheck, overspending, debt,
Right.
and all kinds of things like that. And so it's like, I don't know the first thing about how to handle money. I don't know the first thing of how to put together a spreadsheet and say, all right, this is how much I make, this is how much comes out of that paycheck, now what?
Yeah. Right.
And so there was an immense amount of stress that came for that, because there was this huge mental emotional barrier to entry on that concept and on that part of life. And so for me, it became this really big learning point where it's like, oh, there's stuff that I can learn how to do, and there's a way to learn how to do it, and it was really hard to figure that out.
Right.
And I know there's other people in that same situation. I mean, in our culture right now, finances is a big conversation. Like, lots of people have been talking about their credit card debt or other things like that. And thankfully, I have not had to or been in a journey of credit card debt because, I mean, my family did not teach me how to get a credit card, handle a credit card, or any of those other things, let alone the dollars in my pocket.
Yeah.
So I did not jump into getting massive amount of credit card debt or anything like that. Thankfully, I learned some of these lessons in a good spot, but it was still very difficult to even make a basic budget. And that first budget was garbage.
Right.
But
But
faithful garbage. I stuck through it and made that first budget, followed it to the best of my abilities, and learned all of its pitfalls. Like,
Right.
oh, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. But I wasn't able to learn that until I got into it
yeah.
and actually started applying at least the basic knowledge I could come up with. And then I learned where the gaps in my knowledge were, and I was able to start applying research into those gaps to be able to better budget something out. Now I've got an extensive budget sheet handling, and I've got a method that I've come up with that's different than percentage budgeting or envelope budgeting and things like that. It's like a digital envelope system that works really well. We can get into, and we'll of course get into that future times when we're both talking about finances.
A little bit from now, yeah.
Yeah. But it's like that was a very immediate example for me personally where it's like there was a high barrier to entry.
Yeah.
And I had to do a lot of figuring it out. And what I want more than anything is for people to come to a space where it's like, hey, here's a guy that did not know what he's talking about and is actively still figuring it out.
Right.
And here's all the lessons that I learned along the way. And so that the barrier to entry for more people can be removed. And more people can start getting their life in order.
Right.
And more than just a simple self-help way, but in a full life harmonious way.
Yes. Yeah. Living with the harmony that we're meant to live in, because there's a flow to life that the Bible shows to us that is, to us at least, very clear that we want to fall into it by learning through the small steps. So if it's finances, trying one thing, and then if I couldn't get it the first time, that's okay. It's not a failure and you're out. There's always going to be situations where this comes up. You're going to get paid. You're going to have to learn how to deal with the finances.
Yep.
So being able to come under a moment where you're intentionally sitting down, clearing your mind, is okay, I can do this. Other people have done it, and it's not a barrier to entry because someone has a place in the societal ladder, or they have money that you don't. Everyone has to deal with this. So when you're able to have conversations or listen to people, be able to walk through, well, this is what I'm learning, and this is how I'm trying to figure things out, I think that will really open doors for folks who were in a similar situation.
That's one of the other things that we're going to do, which is having resources linked into the episodes of the podcast.
Yeah.
Where if there is a topic that we're talking on and we're making our way towards the end of it, we're creating a discussion that gives context for what we're wanting to learn.
Yeah.
But then, and what we're wanting to break down the barrier to entry for. And then we're adding at the end of the episodes, we'll put together a resource page that is who we go to learn this content from.
Right.
Whether it's YouTubers, podcasters, or otherwise, what books we use to reference for these materials, what programs, what useful practical tools that we've found and implemented in our own lives that we can then distribute and share with others. So it's like through the podcast quoting Fathered by God as a book reference, like adding those specific quotes at the ends of our podcasts, and then also linking sources to those different books, like, hey, this is where you pick it off of like Amazon or some other bookstore, and putting those resources out there of saying, this is what blessed me, and these are the building blocks I use to get to at least where I am. But like, what we can say confidently is we are not experts, but we are people that have made it this far in life, and these are the resources that helped us get there. And we want to distribute those resources and make them known to others.
Yeah. And it's available, and we don't want it to be stuck. I know we talked about it for a moment. The goal for us is to make sure there's a community that this is reaching, and that it's not just people are here and gone without the ability to reach out and like, hey, I have a question, or be able to reach out to someone else that might be involved with the community that we're hoping to build and learn from them. So having a resource page along with people that are attached to it that can immediately go to you and answer a question and help you grow is incredible, because it's not a do it alone situation. It's a how are we all going to get better at this and have a faith-based lens around each moment that comes along.
Yeah. And so, honestly, looking into that, we have clear milestones. Like, there are points to which we want to get to in the podcast and resources that we want to build up to be able to give as much back as possible. Whether it's giving resources away or giving out information or being able to answer questions or build out community. I mean, we have milestone goals of wanting to, of course, improve the listening and viewing experience by obtaining better equipment for that, to produce better content for the people that are watching, such as yourselves. But then also, we want to put together a website in the future. We want to have these different platforms available to people where there is singular spaces to be able to access that information, notes from past episodes and all that stuff, where you're not having to look through a bunch of different other things like that to find the resources. But long term, like, yeah, we're going to have a website. Yeah, we're going to do all these different things. Yeah. We're not there yet. So this is the part of the episode, towards the end, where if people have listened this long, if you have indeed, listener, viewer, our new best friend, have listened this long, where we say...
So please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to your closest of friends.
And all of your strangers.
And all of your strangers. And we'll catch you next time as we all are learning how to human being.
Oh, yeah.